Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Sunday, June the 30th. I'm back from vacation, took about 5 or 6 days off. I was with my family, didn't make any videos for like the last 5 or 6 days. So if you haven't seen any videos on my channel, that's why I've been gone on vacation. I did try and let you guys know that I was going to be gone. Did have a lot of fun. It was great to spend some time with the family. But I'm ready to get back to some DFS. I didn't play any DFS while I was there. Or I played one lineup on Friday night because I had to, because Yahoo has like their tournament that you have to play a lineup in every Friday night. So I played one lineup Friday night, but other than that, those whole 4 or 5 days I was gone, didn't play any DFS. So I'm ready to get back to it. Let's take a look at this Sunday slate. On DraftKings, we got 9 games. On Yahoo, they actually do like the all-day slate, so their main slate is going to be 14 games. So we'll look at DraftKings and Yahoo today. We'll talk about pitching. We'll start off at the top and work our way down. I'll hit on all the pitchers that I'm going to be targeting today. Then we'll look at some stacks that I like. We'll talk about some BVP plays as well. Just before we do get started, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. Starting off at the top of the pitcher-player pool, Max Scherzer, our most expensive option on both sides. He's $12,300. Gets a great matchup against the Tigers. On Yahoo, Max Scherzer is $63. So I think Scherzer is a great spend-up option here. He's very expensive, but I think he's worth the price tag. Such a good spot against the Tigers. This is a Tigers team that just strikes out so much versus right-handed pitching. They're pretty right-handed heavy lineup as well. The only lefties in the projected lineup are Christian Stewart, Candelario, Goodrum, and Harold Castro, and there's a possibility that not all 4 of those guys are going to be in the lineup. So there's a chance Scherzer gets to face like 6 or 7 righties. He is elite against righties. He has like a 40% K rate versus right-handed hitters. Although he does give up some home runs to lefties, it's still not a good matchup for lefties versus Scherzer. He's just such a dominant pitcher, and it's such a great matchup. On DraftKings, there's no Coors Field game. The Coors Field game's not on the main slate. So there's not a ton of bats that I want to spend up on. Like, we're going to talk about the Reds. I think the Reds give you a lot of upside at their cheap prices. The Reds offer you a ton of value. There's some cheap hitters I like in like the Astros, like Jose Altuve under 4K is great value. Gurriel under 4K gives you some good value. There's some stacks that I like that are really cheap. So I'm going to be really spending at pitcher today. On DraftKings, I like to fit in Scherzer as my SP1. It's close between him and Garrett Cole. I do like Cole a lot here against the Mariners, at home against the Mariners. Great matchup. This Mariners team's been really bad this year, especially as of late, ever since they lost a lot of their key hitters. Encarnacion, Jay Bruce. There's someone else who got released or traded. I can't remember who it is. Obviously, Nelson Cruz no longer on the Mariners, but Encarnacion being traded, Jay Bruce being traded. This lineup's just not that good, so it's a great spot for Garrett Cole, but I just still feel like Scherzer's a better play for just a little bit more salary. Scherzer's $400 more than Cole on DraftKings. On Yahoo, Scherzer's $4 more, and I would just prefer Scherzer. But him and Cole are definitely the top 2 options. And then like guys like Giolito, Bieber, more secondary plays. I don't have much interest in Giolito against the Twins, just a really tough spot, even though Giolito is a pretty good pitcher. Don't really want to target him here. Shane Bieber against the Orioles I think is in play, but he's like so priced up at 10-6 on DraftKings. I would just try and find the $1,000, get up to guys like Cole and Scherzer, who I think just give you that massive upside. And even though I think Bieber's in a really good spot, still Scherzer and Cole are just on another level for me. So I love paying it for Scherzer on DraftKings as my SP1. On Yahoo, since they do have the all-day slate, we're going to talk about some guys that I like in the 4 o'clock games. We're going to talk about Robbie Ray at $45. I really like him on Yahoo. But let's go ahead and look at some other DraftKings plays. So Blake Snell is a guy that I want to talk about. He's going to be one of my highest-owned pitchers, if not my highest-owned pitcher on both sites today. So he's only $8K on DraftKings. On Yahoo, he's very cheap as well. He's at $38. I just love Blake Snell here at home against the Rangers. Such a great matchup. This is a Rangers team that really struggles versus left-handed pitching, and they also struggle a lot outside of Globe Life Park, which is their ballpark, their hitter park that they play in. Now they're having to go to Tampa, to Tropicana Field, which is one of the more pitcher-friendly parks. Blake Snell has not been pitching well lately, so that's one of the reasons you're seeing his price tag so cheap at $8K. But the matchup is just so good. This Rangers team, like I said, just has so many strikeouts versus lefties. Not a lot of good hitters either versus lefty. They're going to be rolling out at least 4 lefties in their lineup, and Snell pretty elite versus left-handed hitters like Mazzara, Gallo, Willie Calhoun, Guzman are really going to struggle here. Jeff Mathis is a terrible hitter. Logan Forsythe really isn't that good. Ellis Andrus has been decent this year, but still not a guy that I'm worried about. Danny Santana's been really good this year, but not a guy that I'm really worried about. Delano DeShields has speed, but he strikes out a lot, so love Snell here. 3.2 implied run total for the Rangers, one of the lowest on the slate. Hopefully people shy away from Snell because of how poorly he's done lately. Still think this is a great spot for him. And with his price tag being so cheap on both sides, he's going to be a core play for me today. Love spinning up at pitcher and love going with Snell as my SP2. On Yahoo, Snell's going to be my SP2 as well. There isn't a guy more expensive that I like over him as my SP1. I did mention him. Robbie Ray at $45 on Yahoo. I like a lot. Looking at their slate real quick, they do have all the afternoon games and the Sunday night game. Looking at the afternoon games, Robbie Ray is going to be pitching against the Giants here. Really good spot for him in my opinion. Facing a really bad Giants lineup in a great ballpark. Oracle Park, Giant Stadium, is the most pitcher-friendly park. Plenty of strikeouts in this Giants lineup as well. Robbie Ray just feels really safe here at $45. I know he doesn't give you that crazy upside that you get from Scherzer, but I could easily see Ray going 6 innings with 9-10 Ks here. Like against the Blue Jays, he went 6 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk, and 10 Ks. I could easily see him putting up a similar outing to that, 34 fantasy points. Not out of the question here for Robbie Ray. I know he's faced the Giants at least once this year. Faced them on May 24th, 27 fantasy points, 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. I thought he faced them again, but it looks like that's the only time he's played against the Giants. But when he did face the Giants earlier this year, he did really well. I would expect him to do very well here. And at $45 on Yahoo, since there is a Coors Field game on Yahoo, I do want to try and pay up for those Coors bats. So not going to be going to Scherzer much over there. Going to be spending down more to that mid-range and to the lower value tier. But let's go back to DraftKings and talk about some of the other pitchers I like on the slate before we move over to bats. So Jake Arrieta's in a good matchup against the Marlins, but there's no way that I play Arrieta over Snell today. Arrieta just doesn't have the upside that Blake Snell has. But if Arrieta was a lot cheaper, maybe would have some interest in him, but I did want to mention him because of his matchup. Trevor Richards, I don't think is that bad of a play. 7,300 at home, great pitcher's park against the Phillies. You could definitely consider Trevor Richards here as a mid-tier play. For value, I think there's a couple guys you can play. I wouldn't mind considering Zach Davies at 5,900 as a really cheap option against the Pirates. And then Aaron Sanchez, I know he's been terrible this year, but 4,400 at home in a great matchup with the Royals. I think Aaron Sanchez is definitely a viable option if you're looking for a cheap play, a cheap SP2. We'll go over to DraftKings real quick. Look at some of the other stacks that may be expensive, like 6.1 implied run total for the Indians. Probably going to want to get some exposure to the Indians, and they do have a lot of expensive bats in their lineups. The top 3 guys are all over 5K. So if you want to stack the Indians, you're probably going to need a cheap SP2. So in lineups where I have Indian stacks, I might have Aaron Sanchez in those lineups. Same could be said for National stacks. Nationals with a 5.6 implied run total versus Jordan Zimmerman, and they have a lot of expensive hitters in their lineup. And then the Brewers and Astros also have pretty high totals, and they have expensive hitters in their lineup. So where I go with some expensive stacks, I'll probably use Aaron Sanchez as an SP2. I actually expect to have quite a bit of him because 4,400 for a pitcher at home against a really bad Royals team definitely makes him viable. So Aaron Sanchez as a value looks like a pretty good play on DraftKings today as a cheap SP2. But let's talk about some hitters now. So the Reds are a team that I want to hit on DraftKings. They're one of my favorite stacks on DraftKings when you look at their pricing. Eugenio Suarez might be one of my favorite plays overall on the slate. He's dirt cheap on both sites. He's only $3,900 on DraftKings, and on Yahoo he is very cheap as well. He's at $10 at third base. I think he's a great value play on both sides. So he's going to be facing John Lester here, a lefty that I just don't think is that good. John Lester is definitely a guy that we can target with right-handed hitters. The Reds do have some right-handed hitters that have power. Nick Senzel, Suarez, Puig, even Jose Iglesias, Phillip Ervin, Jose Peraza. Those guys don't need to go overlooked here. You can definitely roster those guys. Some of them have speed as well, and John Lester is a pitcher that you can steal on. And when you look at the pricing of some of those hitters, like the 5 through 7, Iglesias at $3,400, Irvin at $3,600, Peraza at $3,100, these guys are just so cheap that you can do a red stack with the two expensive pitchers, Scherzer and Snell. So that's the route that I'm going to be taking a lot on DraftKings. I'm going to have a ton of lineups with Scherzer, Snell, and then have red stacks with those lineups because of how cheap the Reds are. Love Suarez at 3,900. This is just a guy that's mashed left-handed pitching throughout his career. He's got some BVP versus Lester as well. A couple of these Reds do. Peraza's gone 12 for 29. Suarez gone 10 for 34 with 3 home runs. Jose Iglesias, who we're going to talk about, has gone 4 for 10 off Lester. You can definitely take hitters versus Lester. He is prone to blowing up. We've seen him struggle at times this year. Like against the White Sox, he gave up 3 runs in that start. Against the Dodgers, 6 runs. Against the Cardinals, 4 runs. You can definitely get to Lester. And in this really good hitter's park, pretty hot temperatures, 87 degrees, great ballpark, and great American. Love both sides of this game, and I really like the value that the Reds give you. Also want to talk about Jose Iglesias. I mentioned him. I think he's a really good value on both sides, specifically on DraftKings, though, at 3,400. He's going to be a top value play for me at shortstop. Projected to bat 5th, right behind Suarez and Puig. I love doing that 3-man stack of Suarez, Puig, and Iglesias. But obviously, you can go with Senzel, or you can go with Phillip Ervin, or even Peraza. Even though he's batting 7th, I do like Jose Peraza as a value at just 3,100. But Iglesias actually has some power. 5 home runs on the year. I believe all of his home runs, or most of his home runs, have come versus lefties this year. And he also has speed, so if he gets on base, he can steal bases against Jon Lester. Just gives you a lot of upside at a dirt cheap price. Should be batting in the middle of the order for a team with over a 5 implied run total. Really like going to Iglesias as well as a value play. The only reason that I'm not going to include him on Yahoo is because Javier Baez is criminally underpriced on Yahoo at just $14. Don't know how he's that cheap. Even though it's not the best spot against Desclafani, pretty good versus righties, a guy that you definitely want to target with left-handed hitters. Baez is just so good versus both sides of the plate that I'm still going to be targeting him here, especially where he's just $14. Don't know why he's this cheap. Like on DraftKings, Baez is one of the most expensive shortstops. He's $5,400 on DraftKings. On Yahoo, he's like one of the cheapest shortstops available, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. At only $14, I'm going to be rostering a ton of Javier Baez on Yahoo. But if you do want to play Iglesias, you definitely can. He's very cheap. He's $11. Jose Iglesias not out of the question on Yahoo, but really like Baez at shortstop over there. And then I do want to talk about the Coors Field game to round out my 5 on Yahoo. So we'll switch over to their salaries. Look at this game, 7.8 implied run total for the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a team that you are definitely going to want to get some exposure to on Yahoo. Jock Peterson leading off for only $15 is one of my favorite first basemen on Yahoo. I think he's one of the top plays overall, just when you factor in his salary, like points per dollar. Love Jock Peterson on Yahoo, and I love the Dodgers. They're not a part of the DraftKings slate, so that's why we're not talking about them there. But where you can play them with the full Yahoo slate, love Peterson at 15, Turner at 19. I really like Verdugo at 19 is a really good play. The expensive guys, Bellinger and Muncy, are also great plays as well. There's a chance that you could do like a red stack with how cheap the Reds are. You could do like a 4-man red stack and a 4-man Dodger stack and still fit in pretty good pitching on Yahoo. So love Peterson, love Bellinger, love Muncy, Turner, Verdugo. Those guys are great plays. Dodgers are going to be a top priority for me with their 7.8 implied run total versus Chichi Gonzalez. Chichi Gonzalez only made 1 start this year in San Francisco, and he gave up like 3 or 4 runs to the Giants through 5 innings. So he's really not that good of a pitcher. Now he has to face the Dodgers in Coors Field. Things are probably not going to go well for him. So Dodgers love him today on Yahoo. But to fill out my 5 for DraftKings, I do want to talk about Jose Altuve, who feels way underpriced. How Baez is so cheap on Yahoo. Altuve is so cheap, so underpriced on DraftKings. At $3,900 here versus a lefty, he feels like one of the top value plays on the slate. Marco Gonzalez is not a lefty that I'm afraid to target. Definitely a left-handed pitcher that we can attack, especially with a guy like Altuve, who's just so good, so cheap as well. Ton of power, ton of speed, really just the full package. Definitely going to be going to Astro stacks today. Altuve, Bregman, Springer, I love. Even Brantley you can target. Gurriel's really cheap. If you want to go to him, Tyler White's really cheap. The Astros do provide you some value. And Jose Altuve, batting second for only $3,900, feels like one of the best values on the slate. So these are my 5 plays for DraftKings, and these are my 5 plays for Yahoo. Let's go ahead and talk about some stacks now. Then we'll look at BVP plays before we end the slate. So on DraftKings, my favorite stacks are definitely going to be from this Great American Ballpark game, Reds and Cubs. I love the Reds. Reds are my favorite stack when you factor in their salaries, just how much upside they give you in this ballpark versus John Lester, Suarez, Puig, Iglesias, Irvin, Peraza. Some of my favorite value plays today. Do like the other side, though, with Cubs bats. Definitely going to be considering some Cubs. Some Astros versus Marco Gonzalez make a lot of sense for me. I think some Brewers versus Stephen Brault makes a lot of sense. You can definitely look there. Don't want to overlook the Nationals either, or the Indians, but the Nationals and Indians both are pretty expensive stacks. So I'm really only going to be going to them in lineups where I have like a cheap pitcher like Aaron Sanchez. So lineups where I have Snell Sanchez or Scherzer Sanchez, I'll probably have National stacks and Indian stacks in those lineups. But since Yahoo does have the 5 extra games on their slate, I do want to talk about some of the later games. Obviously, the Dodgers are a great stack on Yahoo, 7.8 implied run total versus Chichi Gonzalez. You're going to want to get a ton of exposure to the Dodgers. Other than that, though, I don't think there's any other teams in the 4 o'clock games I'm going to be considering for stacks. Just did want to add the Dodgers a part of my stacks for Yahoo since they have that slate, or since they have that game on their slate. But now let's talk about some BVP real quick before we end the video. So there's a lot of BVP plays today. I'm just going to cover the ones that really stand out to me. Mentioned some of those Reds guys versus Lester. Eugenio Suarez is one that stands out, 10 for 34 with 3 home runs. Curtis Granderson, 13 for 37, 3 home runs off Jake Arrieta. Jose Ozuna, 2 for 11, 2 home runs off Zach Davies. Chris Iannetta, 5 for 14, 2 home runs off Kenta Maeda. And David Dahl, 4 for 18 with 2 home runs off Maeda. So those are some BVP plays for the Coors game if you're playing on Yahoo. But I think that's pretty much it for BVP today, guys. I think that's it for the video. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. Feels good to be back. I'm ready to start making videos again. Took a 4 or 5 day break, but now we're back in the grind, back to uploading daily. Good luck on this Sunday slate. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to drop a like if you did. Subscribe if you are new, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, or you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT if you do have any questions. But I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck today. Peace.